Is Zorro overrated? This is something that I've been thinking about for quite some time now, and as you guys know, with my ongoing feud with the Zorro stands, I believe that the Zorro stands are getting overexcited about the moments we've gotten in Wano, but at the same time, Oda is putting up a lot of hype for Zorro in the first place. So there's a perception going around about Zorro, and I want to talk about the community's current perception of Zorro, right? They're saying that Zorro is comparable to Luffy. Some are saying Zorro was stronger than Luffy out of the time skip, and then Luffy eventually overtook him. A lot of people were giving Zorro's W's that they hadn't seen until we got into Onigashima. So I think the question that we need to ask is Zorro really overrated, or is he just where he's supposed to be? Now, to combat this initial assertion, we have to understand where this narrative has come from and what people's reasoning are for putting Zorro at the same level as Luffy. And here's what I'm normally hearing, right? So we have the first commander being relatively as strong as the captain. So you have your Ben Beckmans, you have your Rayleighs, right? Not Katakuri, not King, right? You normally see that separation, but it's mainly Ben Beckman and Rayleigh, which a lot of people like to kind of put Zorro in that same tier as a first mate, not to mention he's also supernova. So there's a lot of clout there for Zorro to bank off of, and the community really likes to jump the gun with these things, right? And again, what you could say is, oh Jay, here you go with these agendas again, but I just want you to listen, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys that I understand what it is you're trying to tell me, right? Zorro was trained by Mihawk. Mihawk is considered the strongest swordsman in the world. Some people have Mihawk at Yonko level, some people have Mihawk stronger than Shanks, some people have Mihawk in their top 5. And people, based on that basis, would say Zorro was trained by this guy, which means Zorro must have been almost already ready to fight Mihawk or close to it out of the time skip, and he never fought anyone serious either. So think about the fight Zorro had until Wano. Pika? Really? Monet? Really? Fishman Island, that crackhead octopus with 9 swords that thought he was cool because he had poison on his blades? Like, bro, this is not pre-time skip. Poison doesn't do anything anymore. It rarely did. The only time poison was ever truly serious was with Magellan, who was made of poison. And then obviously you had the fish that Chopper couldn't, save Luffy from, but that's another agenda. We can move that to the side. But the point is, Zorro hadn't fought anyone serious. He never went all out until we got to Onigashima. So people didn't know how strong Zorro really was until we finally saw him fight Killer, we saw him cut Kaido, we saw him get Enma, we saw him do the stuff with Hawkins. Like, we saw a lot of Zorro showing out. And the biggest event now that really has got the Zorro stands riled up is the Ocean Sovereignty feat. Now, another thing that they've mentioned as well is that Zorro would arguably be better at Armament Hockey, considering that Armament Hockey is kind of important for swordsmen. You have to be able to cut what you want. You have to understand Rio and all kinds of different things. You have the Alabasta feat, where Zorro had this awakening of, okay, well, I can cut anything. I can cut steel now, so eventually I'll be able to cut diamond. You have the Enma stuff. Like, there's a lot with Zorro that could lead someone to believe that he's comparable to Luffy. But then I want you guys to understand something else. With these commanders like Ben Beckman and Rayleigh, and now I know what you're gonna say, right? This is a little aggressive, so I understand if you're not okay with this. In Stampede, Douglas Bullet and Rayleigh were considered equals. Now, again, you will say this isn't canon, but what I like with these movies is they give you an insight of the perception of the author's perception of these characters, and we'll get to this later in a later topic, I promise you. Now, if Rayleigh and Bullet were considered to be on the same tier, and Roger bodied Bullet no matter what, all the time. Matter of fact, we don't even have to use Stampede. Look at what happened when Whitebeard ran into Roger. Did you see the difference between Roger and Whitebeard, and then Rayleigh fighting everybody else, and Rayleigh's like the other standalone, like, okay, Rayleigh's right here, but Roger and Whitebeard are on a completely different level, right? Using that comparison, I think we get too caught up in the moment. Think about it in basketball terms, where you have someone like LeBron James, for example, and then you have a Jimmy Butler, and then you have like a Steph Curry, a Kevin Durant, all this other stuff. To me, LeBron James is out of this world. The only one that comes close is Durant, and that's like Whitebeard, so move him out the way. Then you get to people like Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, Anthony Davis. They're superstars in their own right, but they're still not comparable to KD and LeBron. We need to understand that. So using the argument like Ben Beckman, Rayleigh, comparable to their captains, how comparable are we talking? How comparable are we actually talking? I don't think it's as comparable. I don't think it's as close as you think it is. One is in tier 1, one is in tier 2. That's how I see it. And that's how the story is pinned as well. Now, Zoro may just respect Luffy in a way, and he may be, some people say Zoro respects Luffy and he's just holding back his strength out of respect for Luffy. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Why would Zoro hold back his strength? This man is an ambitious fighter. He trains every single day. Zoro doesn't seem like the type of person to hold back for the sake of Luffy's pride. Why would he follow him in the first place? It's not a good excuse. Now again, I know what you may be thinking as I'm going along is that I'm downplaying Zoro, but this is just me combating the perception that is out there at the moment. So then let's go into my perception of Zoro, right? This is my perception now. To me, we have excellent feats from Zoro everywhere. It's littered everywhere. Most of the community could probably think that Zoro is taking on an admiral. They think he could beat Fujitora. I've heard insane things. To me, I don't believe that. I believe that with him scarring Kaido, I believe that with him blocking the ocean sovereignty for a second, but it was still a massive feat, puts him at the level where he's right there with the first commanders. Like he's there. He's like right there. And we'll talk about the top 30 soon. We'll get to that. I promise you, right? He's top 20 for me for sure. I'll leave it at that. So I don't think Zoro is there yet because what we've seen from Zoro are bits and pieces, isolated moments, not full-on fights to show his full capabilities in a 1v1. Now, this is the issue with power scaling. Zoro is he's a character that gets grandiose moments. Oda likes to really push the Zoro agenda with these excellent moments. But as in terms of just fighting 1v1, Zoro by himself, showing his full capabilities, like him versus Das Bones, like him versus Kaku, hell, like him versus Killer. Those are moments that you really want to hang your hat on and understand, okay, this is how strong this guy really is. You get to see the matchups that Zoro can go against, right? Because when we saw the matchup between Luffy and Katakuri, we saw what Katakuri was fully capable of. We saw what Luffy was capable of, and he went beyond his limits, and then he used Snake Man. We need a moment with Zoro now, currently, where there's no just isolated moments where we can just power scale out of our minds. We need hardcore evidence of Zoro fighting an opponent that is on his level, 1v1. Can he overcome that opponent? Then we can scale that opponent and see where Zoro fits in between. Because again, the weird thing about this ocean sovereignty moment that I've actually found, I've been thinking about it a lot more lately. What's most important about that moment is the fact that he stood in front of that moment that should have and would have killed him unless Law moved him out of the way. The fact that he blocked it for a second is a monumental feat, but the fact that he could only block it for a second and he would have died if Law didn't take him out of there is also a marker. He's not taking 2 Yonko attacks. Nobody should take the full brunt of that unless, Jesus, maybe Whitebeard can take it, maybe? I don't even think so. So, using that feat to power scale Zoro, put him at the same level of Luffy, it doesn't hold enough weight. So I think now's the time we need to wait to see what Zoro can do once he's back on the playing field, once he's back on the map. The one thing I am concerned about with Zoro is that he could actually just be in a tag team fight with Kaido versus Luffy. Now, will we see enough from Zoro then? If it's just Zoro and Luffy, no other interruptions, I think we'd be able to see enough. I think we'd be able to see enough because one, Kaido, if it's a 1v1 bet on Kaido, Kaido's arguably top 1. So to me, if you're fighting someone that grand, then fine, that's fine. Personally, I would like to see Zoro beat King. That would give me a lot of joy. But again, these are just my opinions. Doesn't mean what I'm saying is correct. So we go back to the question after everything I've said. Is Zoro overrated? My answer is I believe the community themselves gets a little too excited with every single thing that Zoro does, to the point where we're saying things like he's stronger than Luffy, he's equal to Luffy, and Zoro killing Kaido 1v1 and having something like real grandiose that would outshine Luffy. To me, Zoro will never outshine Luffy, ever. The story has never been written in a way where Zoro will get more shine than Luffy. Luffy's the main character. I don't see Oda ever going down that route. I think we need to understand that at the end of the day, Monkey D. Luffy will always be over Zoro. It's been written that way. There's no precedent with Rayleigh. There's no precedent with Ben Beckman. And if you're talking about him beating Mihawk, you don't have any real evidence that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks. You're just guessing it. So again, That's a whole other topic. So we're not gonna go there. I think the fan base overrates Zoro by pushing him over Luffy when that should never be the case. If you keep Zoro within the confines of being the first mate of the Straw Hats, you're A-okay. He's not overrated. But for now, I think we need to rethink how we scale Zoro in comparison to his captain, because I think we're going a little too far. But again, that's just my thought. So, deal with it. Yo everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe here to get the latest from the channel, or also check out some other videos that might suit your specific tastes.